Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Black Mirror Season 5, Episode 1. It is called Striking Vipers. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. So yeah, Black Mirror's back, that's the thing.
Yeah, it's about time. It's
uh,
been about 18 months.
well no, Bandersnatch was it in
Doesn't count.
December. Uh-huh, But yeah, so Striking Vipers, first episode, Anthony Mackie's in this one. Um, what's funny is that Black Mirror, when it pops up, is I mean, admittedly, I kind of avoided the individual trailers. I didn't want to see
Yeah,
in
I, I
detail.
I didn't even really watch anything. I mean, anthology shows trailers are a bit kind of weird. They usually gives you a sense of the tone, but I mean, the 5 seasons in, I know what to expect of the tone of Black Mirror at this point.
Yeah, so I didn't really know what any episodes were about. This one particularly in this case, and what's interesting about that is that, like, I think I saw in the description on Netflix just as I was hitting play. I think I saw the word video game. Like that is literally the only thing I knew going into this. Is I happened to see the word video game.
So that's more than I knew because I literally just clicked play and that was it. I didn't even see a description.
And the reason why I'm putting so much thought into saying how little I knew about this is that it was kind of a moment when I realized what it was really about. Because there's some setup at the start where we have these friends, it's like, 10 or so years ago, and the
11, I think it was.
roommates,
Yeah.
and we skipped 11 years later, and okay, now Anthony Mackie's character Danny, he's like married, he's got a kid, this friend comes and sees him, this guy Carl, who's not seen in a long time. They see each other maybe once a year at their birthdays, that kind of thing. Although notably, he only sees him at his birthday. He doesn't actually see him on Carl's birthday. I noted that.
Yeah, I think it's very telling. Obviously, Danny's got his life together. He's, it's a big, like a garden party sort of thing, right?
Hmm.
It's very family life. So all the family friends get invited, whereas Carl seems like he's just kind of off doing his own thing. He hasn't got a family to have like, okay, here's the official birthday due to invite everyone round.
Hmm. But yeah, so you get some of this video game because we see them in the in the opening scenes that they're playing this fighting game.
Yes, not Street Fighter.
Not Street Fighter. Yeah, it is more Street Fighter actually, but the first time I heard the sounds from it being played, it sounded more Mortal Kombat to me.
I can see that visually. It's definitely Street Fighter.
Yeah, the characters look more Street Fighter-y. Although the bear made me think more of Tekken. There's no bears in Street Fighter, right?
I don't recall any, but it's been a long time.
Yeah, I don't really play fighting games, so
I dabbled here or there,
yeah.
but
But yeah, so you guys the new version of this game, and obviously we're in sort of near future world, right? Because it's Black Mirror, right? Everyone's got
yeah.
fancier phones, and it's
I was like noticing, okay, which tech are they basing it off? With the consoles and stuff.
yeah, it's kind of hard to say. I mean, it's basically.
It was a bit of a mismatch. Like the controller was very PS4-esque with the light bar and the way that looked. The game box and cartridge was very Nintendo Switch.
Well, that's because the cartridge got into the controller in this case. So
it was, yeah. That was that.
Which
that's
honestly is the most unrealistic thing about it. The fact that they're trying to tell me that in the future we're still going to have cartridges, and it wouldn't just be a digital download, is probably the most unrealistic thing about the whole episode. I'm like, there's a physical box. This is 11 years, probably more than 11 years into our future. It's probably
at least 11 from now.
Yeah, but probably a bit more than that. And you're telling me there's still physical media? I'm having a hard time buying this, quite frankly. But you get some of this game, and it's got the VR attachment that you get some, and it's like, yeah, you play it with the VR, and it's very similar to the tech that was in USS Callister and even White Christmas before that.
Yeah.
So, and I've seen them kind of like revisit ideas a little bit here or there in Black Mirror, but in fact, when I get to what the episode's about, I'd say it's kind of a mishmash of USS Callister and another episode, at least to a point, kind of. It kind of goes in a different direction at the end, but so chatting with his wife. There's a lot of little tell signs in the early part of the episode. Actually, the idea that in the prologue scenes, he ends up staying up all night with his friend, and leaves her alone in bed playing this game. At the party, they're talking about their current predicaments, and the wife afterwards, when she's asking him, they're doing dishes, she says like, oh, so is this thing serious with Carl and that girl that he had a picture of on his phone? He's like, I don't know, I never asked. And she's like, oh, you men, they're so bad at talking to each other. And then once I got to the main sort of chunk of the episode, I sort of thought back to that line and thought, yeah, that's kind of setting up things.
It kind of comes back at the end as well with the hug.
Yeah. So they play this game. It's completely VR, just a little thing inside of the head, and then they're inside the world. So, and they pick the same characters they always used back in the day. So Carl picks this not Chun-Li.
yeah. That's the best way of going with it.
Roxette, that's the character's name, because
that's the girl, isn't it?
Yeah, Palm Clementif plays her.
Yeah.
And then Danny becomes just martial arts dude, named Lance, played by Lily Lynn, who was in the Power Rangers movie.
He's the guy who it always gives you as the default. Okay, this is just, if you don't select anyone else, this is the one you start as.
Sure. And I liked how these were shot, actually, like, because it did the thing where it was kind of like a video game fighting stage, where it's like this completely side on view, where it says fight, the big letters come up on the screen. And the action, because at first Dan doesn't really know how to play. It's been a long time since he's played any games like this. Although notably, by the way, before he ended up playing this, he was playing Tetris Effect, which apparently still booming.
Yes, right. Okay. First point of shit to this episode. Maybe my biggest point of shit. When Carl's like, "Hey, come play this with me," he's like, "Yeah, I mean, I'm playing something else." He goes, "Look, whatever you're playing, it's probably something boring." And he goes, "Yeah, all right." And I'm like, "Oh."
Yes, I quite enjoy Tetris Effect, so I do take some umbrage with that implication. But yeah, so, and I like how the action's actually shot in here, because when he starts like hitting, kicking and punching him and that, there's like a sort of like
speed line effect.
There's a speed line effect, but there's also kind of a weird thing with the motion. Like it's a little bit like
it is. It's like it's shot at a different frame rate. Like they're moving at a different frame rate to the background.
Yeah, and it gives it this weird effect. It does, I guess, does kind of feel video gamey. But yeah, so the fighting well enough, Danny gets his ass kicked round one, and it's okay. Round two, he kind of starts to get the hang of how to control it, and he's fighting back. And they're calling it moves, blah blah blah. And then there's a moment where I think they end up on top of each other, right? There's done a sort of a flip, as you often get in like a fight, and she ends up on top of him. There's kind of a stare, and then kiss. Or maybe that's the second time they fight, that they kisses when they're lying down. Maybe it's the first time when they're just facing each other. But regardless, they start kissing, and I immediately went, oh, that's what this episode is. Because up until this point, I'm like, oh, I'm enjoying the setup, I'm enjoying what it's doing, like setting all these things out. But this was the moment in the episode where I went, okay, here's what we're doing here. And I think what's really impressive about the episode is that I had that moment. I didn't feel that anything in the rest of the episode betrayed that moment. But at the same time, it still kind of shifted exactly what it was doing by the end. And it left it in kind of a weirder, ambiguous place than what I thought was going to be the clear like story from the first time this hit.
No, I agree with that. I think this feels like a back to basics almost for Black Mirror. The text there, but it's more about, okay, what are the people doing? A lot of especially the last season, I felt was an over reliance on, hey, look at the tech. Here's the fear of the tech. Whereas this was very much, the human condition element of Black Mirror.
Yeah,
and the tech just facilitating that. Rather, I think last season it felt like hey, look at the danger of this technology. Whereas this was just, it just facilitates something that was already there.
But I'd say it's always been a mix though between those two things. I mean, there's essentially 2 or 3 kinds of a Black Mirror episode, and this falls into a certain category. This falls into the category with Heine DJ and San Junipero. It falls into that style of Black Mirror episode. Because San Junipero is immediately what I thought of when this plot started to really play out.
I get that why you're saying that, but in terms of the the way the technology was used and the feel of that and the way it facilitated it, to me, felt more like, the like seasons 1 and 2, in that way.
No, I don't agree with that at all. I was totally getting San Junipero. Like, in what way is San Junipero about the fear of the technology? I don't understand.
No, San Junipero isn't, but that's an outlier. I think that was always the outlier in that season as well. That was the okay. No, this is the one where it's because that was the quote unquote happy episode, right?
Yes.
Uh, that was always kind of an exception of an episode anyway.
Okay. I don't really follow this line of thinking, but it doesn't really matter because as it goes on, like I was, because it's a really sweet episode. Once this starts playing out, and there's like this montage of them, like every night they're playing this game, and it's basically just to have sex in the game, which is an interesting proposition in the first place. The idea that in this fighting game that's in VR, you can just stop doing the fighting and just do anything else. Just you can do anything else you want.
It feels like it is early days of the the USS Callister tech, right? Like, hey, because at that point it's like, hey, all right, it's your own world. Go and do what you want anyway. Go and explore this setting.
Sure.
Whereas this, it starts as, oh no, this is quite a confined area. Like, okay, you're on a fighting stage, but you've got that freedom.
For me, it was more about the story here about, okay, these two realizing that they've always been in love, or they realizing that they're gay. But then there's even a line where Carl says, "Oh, I guess we're gay now." And he gives him this look. He's like, "Oh, I'm kidding," but it's like it's this really weird, murky thing. And what I think one of my favorite things about this episode is that it goes a while here where they don't ever speak to each other, not even in person, even like over a phone. Like they don't hear each other's actual voices. The only time they see each other is in this game when they're these two different people. And there's obviously some conversations that come up about how the fact that Carl's actually a woman in the game. And, does it feel differently? Do you actually feel anything that's different to, and he describes it, and I'm like, and again, that brings up some questions, like the game's actually simulating what it feels like to have an orgasm as a different gender. That's kind of weird.
Because it was obviously, it started off as, it's got full representation. It'll let you feel anything. Because, they're talking about, oh, will it hurt if you kick me in the face?
Yeah, it does.
And then, obviously, it goes further than that. It's very well-rounded technology.
But what I liked about it is this kind of weird thing where Danny starts kind of, like, not having sex with his wife, and they're supposed to be trying to have a second baby, and and it's kind of like because even before they play the game, there's this kind of weird contrast between their two lives where Danny's like, it's like the wife's in her pajamas, and it's like, oh, should we try to have a baby tonight? And it's kind of like a dull kind of setting. Clearly, there's not much magic here. It's just kind of a routine thing. And then in contrast, you have Carl, who's with this, at least compared to him, because they're about 40, just under 40, and he's with this 29-year-old who, on paper, hot 29-year-old, but he makes a reference to someone like Dennis Rodman, and she has to Google who Dennis Rodman is, and he goes, oh yeah, I guess, and right after they have sex, she's just immediately on her phone, and there's this disconnect. So it sets up just kind of how not lonely they are, because I wouldn't say Danny's lonely. I mean, it's not that he's lonely. It's not like he's unhappy in his marriage. It's just that there's not really much passion in terms of excitement.
Yeah, definitely. Because it's like I said, this is before they're even in the game. Where he makes the excuse to the wife the first time. Where because she's like, hey, all right, it's the app says we got like an hour to to give it a try.
I'm ovulating.
An hour for the best results, and he's like, I kind of ate too much.
Nothing gets a guy going like, I'm ovulating. It's time. Hop 2.
Right on the clock. Come on, we've got an hour. Get going.
But what I really like about it is that there's, eventually it's really affecting how he is with his wife, right? To the point where they have this anniversary. He forgets the anniversary, and she's aware that something's wrong.
That's when you know you're in shit.
She's aware that something's wrong at the dinner, and she's asking him about it, and she's flat out asking, are you having an affair? Because the way he's acting, where he's not having sex, he seems out of it and distracted, like, it's kind of the conclusion that one might jump to. And he has to assure that it's nothing like that, it's not. Even though, arguably, you could consider it that. But again, it's murky, because it's like this new thing. It's like...
Well, that's kind of the point of the episode in some ways. Is it? They're questioning it, because, Carl's like, hey, it's just like porn. There's nothing wrong with it.
I don't want to debate that until we get to the end, because lots
Okay,
of things.
sure.
And he makes us this pact not to do it, and he starts, he puts it away in the cupboard. He doesn't look at it, and because again, there's this awkward thing where he talks to him on the mic before the second time, because they had the one kiss. They didn't have sex the first time; it was just a kiss, and the second time's where they have sex. He's like, last night I was like, I was drunk from the party. He's like, oh yeah, me too. Oh, good, yeah, nothing weird.
Well, we'll fight. Well, we'll do it seriously this time.
Yes.
So, seriously.
Yes, and they kiss, like quickly.
Within seconds.
Yeah, within seconds. Like they go for a punch, and it's basically time.
They do the awkward shuffle in that you get in every fighting game, and then just go in instead.
But there's this great thing where, like, as soon as he's like, "Oh, sorry, not tonight. I've got an anniversary," and then he starts like kind of not playing at all. It's like, "Oh, we have to stop doing this for." It's like,
there's even a nice touch in the text, where whether or not he puts the kiss on the end.
Yes, he debates to put a kiss at the end of the text message, and like he's and Carl's so disappointed that they're not going to do it that night. And then after this, he calls him and says, "No, we have to stop doing this." And it's the first time I think we hear them speak, voice to voice, since before they have sex for the first time. Since then, I'm pretty sure it was all just in game every single time. And obviously, they probably were speaking voice to voice before each time they played, because they were always kind of on the, on the mics.
Yeah, that begs the question, in the game, because obviously they're still on the mics. Does it change their voice in game to them?
I don't think they're speaking out loud though, because they go kind of.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, they kind of go comatose, don't they?
Yeah, I think it's just in their head they're speaking. So
yeah, you're right. Yeah,
it's just the characters' voices. But just for us as a viewer, we don't see them speaking voice to voice, and it really like brings home this weird, awkward like development in the relationship where it's like, did we always feel this way? Is this a thing? Is this romantic? Is it Is it this? Is it what you're just saying that it's just because it's in the game and we can? And I think where the debate comes, like, is this cheating? I think my argument would be that it is because you're kind of sharing it with someone else. It's like, it's different from just watching porn. Like this is something where these two are clearly excited to do it every day, and they're looking forward to it, and it's affecting their own lives and how much they actually want to have sex outside of this. I think it's undeniable that there, because there was a pilot that I watched a long time ago that one of these things where Fox never picked it up, so it aired as a TV movie, and it was really annoying. It was called Virtuality.
You've told me this before.
I've told you about this before, but one of the main key things in that plot is that they've got this virtual reality system, and two of the people on the space station were having an affair, but only in virtual reality. That's how they were getting away with it, and no one catching them. And it raised these interesting things, and it was making me think of that.
What's funny is I think you've told that analogy, on a Black Mirror review.
Have I? That's amazing.
I think you might have done, yeah.
Yeah. It seems more relevant than ever though with this one.
It does.
So I really like that. I like this weird awkwardness of like them being nervous to talk to each other because they've kind of changed what their relationship is in this really profound way. Yeah. And it gets to the point.
One of the key problems here is it's what the wife keeps coming back to. It's like, hey, you don't want to talk to each other, and that's why what you were saying there about how not seeing them actually talk to each other was such a vital part of the way the episode flows, is because it's all about the lack of communication.
Yeah, and then so he like clean break. We're not doing this anymore. We skip ahead.
7 months.
We skip ahead. And well, it was 7 months later exactly, because
this is where we skip ahead 7 months. I think it's the birthday.
Well, it has to be more than 7 months then.
No, it comes up saying 7 months later. I assumed this whole bit was going on for a while. This whole sequence of them kind of getting together.
Yeah, you're probably right. For some reason, I thought it was another time jump after that. I thought there was 2 time jumps to get us back to his birthday again.
I don't think there is.
Yeah, that's why I'm confusing myself. Doesn't really matter. So yeah, it's his birthday again, and they're not doing a party because she's like,
very pregnant.
No, there is 2 time jumps. Because we skip ahead to her being pregnant and she's got the big belly, and then we skip ahead again, they've got the baby. There is 2 time jumps, damn it.
Yeah, the baby's the last bit though, isn't it? Because that's the very end, the baby. This one, the 7 months, is to the birthday, because he goes, right, cold turkey, we're not doing this anymore on the phone.
Yeah, no,
Right.
there's a reason why I was thinking 2 time jumps. I wasn't being mad.
No, but not yet.
Yeah. So yes, so he's had a birthday, and the wife reveals that she's invited him round for dinner. Invited Carl round for dinner.
Yeah, because she's like, hey, look, last year you said you never really got to talk at the party because it's the big barbecue, everyone's there. So I thought it'd be more intimate.
And he's like, oh, okay. And then it's really awkward. They're sitting there quietly. She's making all the conversation. They're being very awkward.
Yeah.
And again, this kind of comes in. It's like, they've not seen each other in person since any of this has happened. So, like, what is their demeanor going to be like? What's up, how are they going to speak to each other? Can they look each other in the eye? How does it feel?
I assume they haven't even seen each other in person since
the birthday,
since the last birthday. Yeah. Obviously, they haven't had any communication. They've not even texted with each other. I don't think in that 7 months. Doesn't feel like they have.
I mean, Carl may have tried to.
He might have done, yeah, but it doesn't feel like there was any actual, conversation.
And as soon as she leaves the room, Carl leads in and is like, "Hey, we had something. You want to feel it again, kind of thing." And like midnight, we're going to do this. Come on.
Danny's like, oh, "What the hell? Why are you even here? You could have just made an excuse not to come."
Yeah. It's because there's feelings. So sure enough, midnight comes around, and they go into the game, and it happens again, and at this point, Carl, as the video game character Roxette, blurts out "I love you" like afterwards, and it becomes this kind of serious talk again as the video game characters about what the hell is this? Like we're in a game, like. This isn't real, or is it real? And it becomes this thing where it's like, oh, yeah, do you know this place? Let's meet there, right? So in real life, they drive to this place. It's pouring a rain, so we've got this romantic set, and the rain's pouring down.
Behind a bar.
And they just sort of look at each other. These 2 big tough guys sort of look at each other going, all right, kiss me. It's like, what? Well, kiss me, and if we feel something, then we know it's real, and then we can quantify what this is and deal with it. And if I have to leave my wife, then... Sure, then we'll go down that path. But we have to find out if it's a real thing.
I love before you even get to all that though, because it's in the rain, the car lights are going, the 2 of them are there. It's the side-on shot, the same as like the fighting game framing. And he takes off his glasses, and even Carl's like, "Hey, come on then, are we gonna fight? Let's, I don't want to do this." And it's all framed along that proposition, and it's like, "Come on, no, just kiss me."
But there's a great thing here though, where he's like, "Just kiss me." And there's just, in fact, I laughed actually. There's a good joke here where Carl's like, "Okay, we're going to do it." And he's like, "I'm building up to it." I'm building up to it.
Do you want me to go first? And he's like, "Yeah, I do."
And it's this wonderful thing of these 2 guys who have been platonic friends, because I mean, as far as they've both been like aware their whole lives have been straight, so it's never been a thought in their mind. But they're standing there going, "All right, let's kiss to see if we feel it. Let's kiss to see if we really feel that we're gay or whatever. Let's just see what we're doing here."
Yeah, especially with Carl, who said, in the time apart, he's been using the VR with other random people, and said, there's some pleasure there, but he hasn't had any.
No, not random people. He specifically says like video game characters, the NPCs. It's the AI he's having sex with.
Oh, was it? I thought some of them were, because he mentioned a role player at one point, so I thought it was another person.
He says they're just not built for it. Like everything's very kind of artificial. That was the main thing I took from his little speech there.
Fair enough, because he mentioned like even a role player with an accent, so I thought that was someone.
Well,
else.
Maybe there was a person as well, but the main thing he was talking about was like it wasn't real people. It was the game characters. Yeah. I mean, how he seduced the game characters as a whole.
Depends what game you get playing, I guess.
Question for another time. But he so they have this moment here, and afterwards, like, did you feel anything? No, not really. Yeah, me neither. And this was kind of the surprising turn of the episode, because this was the first time, because I was enjoying how sweet it was. It had, even though there was this kind of like obviously betrayal element of, because he was kind of cheating on his wife, and it had this kind of sad undertone to it. There was kind of this sweet of like sense of discovery of like, maybe you've not, and this is what reminded me of San Junipero, was this idea of this was a part of your life that you just never really considered before, and then maybe you're finding something here that actually means something to you. And
it was a mild surprise to me that it didn't end here. That moment where me either, and they like, I'll bring it in, the hug. It was a mild surprise to me that it didn't end on that shot.
Yeah, I could see that. And it was interesting because this is where it really opens up what the episode's talking about. It's like, okay, so beforehand I was thinking, okay, the technology was letting them discover something they would never have figured out before. What it actually turns out to be is kind of an exploration of like, okay, well, if we did have this technology and two friends who were completely platonic were suddenly other people in the game, so you're in VR and you're looking at two completely different people, right? Does that like lead to something that that isn't actually a real thing in real life, where you don't have any attraction to each other, you don't have any romantic feelings for each other, but because you're essentially role playing in a lifelike manner as these two different people, can it lead to sex? Can it have that? And it's obviously one of the big questions here is, okay, it's one thing for Danny, because as far as we know, both these guys are completely straight. So it's one thing for Danny to see this female character and want to have sex, but then it does bring up the interesting question of Carl, who isn't having sex with a woman. He's having sex with a male character in a completely different way, and not even as a male, not even as a gay man. He's having sex as a woman with this male character. And it brings up this whole new idea of role-playing, this whole new idea of how we interact online in a cyberspace. And I mean, if anything, the only thing I don't like about the episode that much is actually just the very, very ending. Just because it does this weird thing where it's like, oh, like him and his wife have agreed to like one night a year you'll have virtual sex with Carl, and she goes out and has like a blind one night stand with someone. Just because there's nothing necessarily terrible about it. I felt like up until the rest of the episode, I was really feeling kind of like this sweet emotional undertone to it, whereas the ending felt more like, yeah, this is just how we'll end it.
I don't know. I disagree with this, because I think I think the idea is there is still, when they went, we don't feel anything, and they both kind of agreed to that. I don't think that's entirely honest. I think they both do and don't, and it's still just that poor communication. They can't admit it in real life, even though they could over the game. And then, when they fight it out a bit, and he has to, he obviously comes clean to his wife when he's, after she picks him up from the police station.
Yeah,
we cut ahead.
We don't see the conversation. He's just about to say it, and then it cuts.
Contextually, we figure he does, and it's more just I think this comes back to a lot on the anniversary, the conversation. She talks a lot about giving things up, having loyalty to the family, so that they can everything works out, and how she kind of wished she'd had that just with the fling with the guy at the bar. So I think it's ultimately a way of no, they'll stick with the family, but one night, maybe 2 nights, maybe it happens on her birthday as well. They exchange the boxes and they take off their wedding rings. It's like, right, okay, we both go off and do other things, and he goes off and has continues his relationship with Carl, because that's what it is. It's not just there because it's in a game at this point. I think it is just no, it is a relationship, and she goes off and does her stuff, and then ultimately that means as a family unit they feel happier, and they obviously feel more connected at the party that day. They seem very happy with each other.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the idea of them like setting this up as a married couple is just probably the least developed element to me in the episode, because it is, for me, it kind of came out of nowhere, this idea that they'll just be happily do this every year. It is just, we could just live with it. That's not to say that there's not a potential exploration here of like, okay, can this be a new form of swinging that both parties are happy with? And even then, because it's kind of weird in the episode how she actually is going out and doing it for real, whereas he's just doing it in a game. And it does bring up this question of, is it equal? Because we've been saying the whole time, like, is he cheating on her, or is he not? And if he is it the same as cheating for real? Is it equal to that?
I think it's as equal, if not his is maybe worse, because his is about it's an emotional connection with his friend, right? It's not just a physical thing. Whereas hers, okay, she's just going out for the physical connection, whereas his is an actual relationship.
I mean, that's one way to look at it, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah, it was the only part of the episode for me where it didn't just click with me immediately that I, what the feeling it was giving me. It was being very murky, which I think is kind of the point of the episode, is to make you kind of question what this would lead to, having this kind of going on. But it was because I guess for me the more interesting part of the episode was how the technology let us explore where it could lead, and all that stuff, which is the bulk of the episode. That is the vast majority of the episode, is dealing with that stuff. Whereas the idea that the married couple decide to essentially be swingers for 1 or 2 nights of the year, is fairly just kind of quickly. There's a couple of little things that set it up, and then it's just that at the end.
Yeah, see, for me, it's less about the you're saying, oh, it's about the technology and what this would lead to. For me, that's not really what the episode. But this is what you and I was saying earlier on. To me, this felt more like season 1 and 2.
Well, no, because I agree it's about the human connection, but it's the human connection that comes from the technology.
No. See, this is the point I'm getting to. To me, that's not what it's about, really. To me, this is all about just communication, about how, people not talking to each other face to face, and it's the technology allowing them to do that, right? It's with both of them because the wife's constant, hey, you two, you're terrible at talking to each other. Go and even at the end, it's like, hey, you go on, you hug it out, right? You guys are awful. But there's also the same thing where he's not talking to her about any of this, and once they're all communicating at the end, everyone's on the same field. They're all much happier because there's the point after that 7-month jump where they've had no contact. We see a little flash throughout the day before we see so, and Carl's life looks kind of terrible. He's waking up drinking. There's leftover food everywhere. He's in a pretty bad shape compared to here at the end. He seems perfectly well adjusted. He's very much looking forward to this night, but he seems in a much better place. Everything's happier and better at the home life for the family. It's all now that they're all communicating and it's all open.
I don't disagree, but I feel like no, I agree it's about communication. Like I think that's a major theme of the episode, but for me it's not overly technology. It's kind of like they go hand in hand. It's kind of the point of Black Mirror is we take these ideas and we use it to tell a human story. It's the point of science fiction in general, for Christ's sake.
It is, yeah.
So to me that's kind of what the focus of the episode is, and for me the touching side of it was this sense of discovery and how they feel about each other. Is this something that's really there? Isn't it? Because it is kind of sweet, and the score's actually really good at adding to this as well. I really like this sort of synth thing that was coming in.
Yeah, it was nice.
And I actually loved the episode. I don't want this to sound like I'm saying it was like a no, I didn't ruin the episode for me or anything like that. It was just, it felt like the intercut stuff at the end with the credits, which is where we get this stuff where they're essentially swinging, on his birthday. Felt more like a sort of tacked on little, like, not a joke. I don't want to say it was a joke. I don't want to go that far, but it felt like a, oh, I guess this is kind of maybe what the solution would be. It was like a suggesting a solution as opposed to being, here's the solution that actually completely makes sense for the story.
Yeah, I think this ending landed a lot better for me.
For me, like I almost wish we got the conversation. I actually think her reaction to the initial news would be more interesting for me than this skipping ahead. And maybe it would have played better for me if we had that reaction. I think that's maybe the one misstep. I almost actually think, ending where you said it should have, or where you thought it might after the kiss, would have been better for me. Actually, I think that would have been a more poignant moment.
It wasn't after the kiss. Then they're like, okay, right, there's no feelings, and you got the hug, and it's I can tell you the exact shot. It's looking behind, and Anthony Mackie, he's looking over the shoulder as in for the hug. That's the shot you can end on there, and it's okay. The question then becomes, okay, what did they really feel it or not? Do you believe them in this moment? And that's kind of the ending there.
See, I don't think it would be if they really feel it or not. I don't think the moment's trying to play it that way. I think it's trying to play it as it's just different. We just don't understand what they feel and they don't understand what they feel because there's nothing to quantify it. Yeah. Like it's not either we're in love with each other and want to have a relationship with each other or not. It's there's this new thing that
no, I get that.
In the middle.
Specifically in the question of all right, say this, let's kiss. If there's sparks, we'll go from there. And very quickly after the kiss, he's like felt nothing, and he's like, yeah, me either. And it's okay. Do you believe that?
Yes, I this is where I disagree with you. I don't think there's a doubt in my mind when Anthony Mackie says, "No, me neither." I think the acting tells me exactly how true it is.
I disagree. I think there is an element of, but whether or not this is I don't think that is the truth when they tell this.
I think it is. I think what makes this interesting to me, this concept, is that they're doing all the speculating because they're having all these passionate sex scenes in the video game, and they're really looking forward to it. They care about it. and because what gets me is that it's, it's one thing like Anthony Mackie saying that, but Carl goes first and says, no, I didn't feel anything, and he's the one who said he loved him in the game, and I don't think he's trying to cover this up. I don't think he's trying to like course correct to like make it less weird. I believe in him when he says that, because for me that's what makes this interesting. It's what makes this exploration of, okay, then what is it then, because it's not that.
I don't believe him. I think they're both lying, but I think again this comes back down to the communication, where even after everything they've been through, they're kind of starting to bring on the open. They're still like not able to confront it in that reality. They're not ready for that. On a personal level, though, those two aren't ready to confront that on a real level. But they're quite happy to still carry on in the VR because of that disconnect. It's this anonymity of the internet almost, where even though they know each other, and it's not anonymous, having just that avatar, that barrier, makes it easier for them. So for me, that's kind of how I do think they were lying there at the end to each other, but they kind of both knew they were lying.
I do not expect us to disagree so much in this. No, I think they're telling the truth, and I think them telling the truth is what makes this entire episode really fascinating, because it was great beforehand. This revelation like turned it into something else for me. It was like, no, it isn't just that simple. We can't just put it in the box that makes sense. It's a new thing. And
see, but that's why I think that they're not, to them that would be almost simple of, okay, if they could just go, okay, no, where this is, we do feel this way, right? Let's deal with, that's the whole point. When Danny comes out and says, hey, if we feel this way, we can just sort it out. We can get it done. That would be the easy solution. So to me, them feeling it, but actually still, not actually be willing to confront that and go down that route, even though he's suggested it, and brought it up as a possibility at the start of the scene. Them still going, we don't really want to actually communicate and go through with those ideals. That's interesting to me.
I'm not sure what you just said there. That I said that was the easy route, which is why it makes it more interesting that it's not that.
No, but I don't think that is the easy route.
You just said it was the easy route. You said it's the easy route.
No. The easy route is them saying yes and actually going through with that side of things, or lie, or saying no. It's not an easy route if it's the truth, is it? You're saying, oh, it's the easy route for them to just, when they're saying the truth of no, it's not. That doesn't work for me.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying if they said yes, it's the easy route, because then it just quantifies it as, okay, it's a gay relationship. That's it. Done. Easy.
Oh, right. No, okay, I'm with you. But it might seem like the easy route, but the fact that they lie about it means that it's.
They didn't lie about it. This is where we disagree. They did not lie about it. They are being honest.
If they lied about it, that would make it, it would seem like the easy route, but they're not equipped to communicate and deal with that in reality, these two. So it's actually easier to lie to each other and but knowing they're lying and continue in the way they were.
For me, that's because obviously I do think there's an emotional connection here, but it does kind of ignore this idea of the fact that I genuinely don't believe they're attracted to each other in real life. I don't think they are at all. And to me, that makes it fascinating, because then it becomes, well, so he's attracted to Carl when he's Palm Clementif, like when he's being someone else. Like, that's interesting to me, because then it talks about where, okay, you could be with someone who you don't find remotely attractive. Like, the virtual reality dating could completely change the game, because it's about who someone wants to be or who someone identifies as, which again sort of folds back into perhaps like real world applications. But at the same time, I don't think Carl. It's not like Carl likes playing this character in a video game. I don't think Carl. There's no indication to me in this episode that Carl wants to be a woman in any way, shape, or form. It doesn't seem like he's trans or something like that. It doesn't feel like it's hinting at that.
No, absolutely not. But I think he definitely does want a relationship of some sort with Danny. I think, like, as I said earlier on, when they're not talking after the break, his life's a mess. And then at the very end, when they've got a stable,
I think that introduces a whole new idea, though. It introduces the idea of like how real that can still be, even though it's technically just online, and how like that can still be a part of your life that's really important. It can still be seeing that person at the end of the day can still be really important. And I feel like, to me, again, it's exploring these new ideas and how the internet has changed relationships, how virtual reality, should it ever exist to this extent, will then change it further. And like all the new doors that kind of opens up, and you know the weird kind of it's almost like doing that thing where it takes something to the extreme, where not only are they not in the same place as each other, now they're completely different people as each other. You know, that now they're role playing as different things. Hell, you could almost turn this into willful catfishing, where you know the other person's catfishing you, but it doesn't matter because we're in virtual reality, and that, you know, you'll accept what they're presenting to you. You know, if this is the person they're saying. Then
I don't disagree that any of this is very interesting. I agree with you. This is very interesting. It just isn't my read of the ending.
No, that's what I got from that conversation. I believe them. It to me, because for them just to be lying is the conventional thing to do, where they're just doubting their feelings again. To me, what completes the arc of the episode is that they're actually being honest with each other at the end.
I think I think it would have been maybe an easy ending if it had ended there. The fact that it continues and goes on to, you know, they have this fight with each other then, to be maybe because they were lying, you know, they had that fight, and then when the openness happens in the, you know, after he tells the wife, that's when he tells the truth for the first time, is to her, and that's when things are on the table for the ending.
I don't necessarily I don't agree that he didn't tell the truth before. The fight to me was more about confusion of how to actually deal with it, because again, there is real feelings there, because as you say, there is this thing where they're, you know, it's affecting their life, and Carl especially, like his life is in shambles because he can't live without like what they're doing. But there's this acknowledgement where, again, it's not the easy fix, because they've discovered that it isn't just, you know, what they could quantify it as. So it becomes this pent up rage that they don't know, or this pent up emotion they don't know how to deal with. Like, how do we get this out then? Like, if we're not going to get romantic in real life, if we're not going to, like, you know, get physical in that sense, well, they get physical in the one way that makes sense to them, and they start punching each other. I mean, you know. Insert, you know, commentary on masculinity and its bullshit here.
I think for me, though, because what kicks it off is, you know, they're like, okay, well, all right, we don't feel anything, and they're like, okay, well, that's that then. But then Carl's like, no, it's in my head. We still need to keep doing this on, you know, in the game.
Well, yeah, exactly. Which is why I read it the way I read it, because it's like, there's nothing here in real life, but it still means something to me. What we're doing still means something to me, but it's not this. It's not a physical, real life thing.
See, to me, this I can see what you're saying, but to me, my read here is different. It was more like, okay, they told each other the lie of, you know, okay, well, there's nothing there, and then immediately Carl's like, no, that's not enough. We still need to have the game, you know, and it's like, okay, and he couldn't just accept the lie almost, even though he'd just said it.
Well, because to me, he's not. It's again, it's not a lie. But on top of that, to hear what he's not accepting is the idea that no, just because it's not a real thing in real life doesn't mean that what we actually do online doesn't mean something and isn't important to me. He still wants that. The fact that he was obsessed about that for months and was desperate for it to happen again doesn't just go away because, oh yeah, okay, so we're not actually in a real life physical relationship.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'm sure at this point there's basically two camps here. So comments should be interesting as to what side you fall down on. Now, admittedly, the caveat in mine, I suppose, is that me not liking the final ending maybe implies that I'm wrong, in the sense that the episode goes to a place where I don't necessarily feel like it sets up for.
It feels a lot more logical in my route.
But I just don't like it, then. It's not interesting to me. It's
Very
not as interesting to me.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Your way is also interesting. I hadn't like considered it that way until we're talking. It is also an interesting read, and I'm quite happy to if anyone's like, hey, no, I read it that way. Yeah, you do you enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know, as much as they are kind of polar opposite reads.
I think
neither of them like ruins the enjoyment for me.
I think one of the points I'd like to just add on for my read on this is that it's not. I think the idea here that it is just like two, you know, as far as as far as we can tell, two straight male friends who have had this platonic relationship for such a long time. That makes it obviously this extra weirdness. I think like if two random people met this way and like formed a relationship in a game, and let's say they were of like so assuming they're both straight male and female, if they're gay, they're both their gender, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that it can't become a real thing, right? It's like meeting anyone online. Like you could meet the person and it could actually be a real thing. It could translate. It could be like, no, that emotional connection we share then translates to a real relationship, and becomes something special, right? That's just the story of how you met, right? It's just how it began. But here we have this weird thing where this relationship's already defined. They're already this pair of friends, and they've been that way for years. And that's like, okay, so that recontextualizes something that already exists. So, anyway, there you go. That's the first episode of season 5 of Black Mirror.
Well, if nothing else, it got some debate out of us.
Yeah. No, that was a really sweet.
But we both seem to agree that it was a very good episode.
Yeah, no, it was a really sweet episode. I'll go as far as to say it's easily better than 5 of the 6 episodes of last season.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
I might like USS Callister more. And if I don't, it's debatable, is what I said. But I think the other 5 are easily weaker than this one was.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. USS Callister is the only one that stands against this.
Yeah, and then we'll see if the next 2 hold up. Maybe only having 3 episodes will be for its benefit. Maybe the next 2 will be more season 5 quality, or season 4 quality. We'll find out.
Let's hope not.
So yeah, that is Striking Vipers. I can't remember the name of the game, damn it. It's a pretty bad name for a game, to be honest. It's quite clunky to say.
Yeah.
Striking Vipers.
But Street Fighter was already taken, so what are you going to
do? Boulevard Brawler. There you go. Easy.
Sure.
There you go. Just swap out. Just get the thesaurus out and pick your name, alright? Or you combine it. I said there were some parts reminding me of Mortal Kombat or Tekken. Just combine it to do Mortal Fighter. Street Combat.
That's too cheesy.
Street Combat with a combat spelled with a Q.
With a Q, okay.
Yeah.
Why not?
There you go. But yeah, so obviously we debated there quite a bit. So let us know in the comments what your read of the episode is, and it's entirely possible there's more reads than the 2 that we both instinctly just had one reaction each and then debated our reactions to it. You might feel very differently. So let us know what you think in the comments. You can like and subscribe, all that stuff. You can get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the show and the channel and everything we do here, you can head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. You can support us for as little as $1 per month, and you can get bonuses, extras, and some early stuff amongst everything else, and keep all the reviews and that coming. Otherwise, check out all the content we do. Obviously, we do our Netflix shows. If you're on the Netflix audio feed, there's a whole back catalogue. There's also an almost cancelled TV reviews audio feed where we do all the non-Netflix shows that we do. So check out that stuff as well. Obviously, starting today, the same day as Black Mirror, is Handmaid's Tale from Hulu, which is on that feed. Obviously, everyone's on the YouTube page if you're on YouTube. So yeah, go check it out. Otherwise, that is it. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?